Welcome to Wizard Team, a Black magical podcast for Black magical stories.
Hi everyone, it's Bayana, Robyn, and Porshèa embarking on a journey through the many fantasy stories written by and about Black people. Currently, we're reading Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, and today we're discussing chapters 27 through 29.
But first, previously on Wizard Team.
Previously on Wizard Team, two of our hosts.
No. Set a timer.
Fake friend.
Oh my gosh.
I'm pulling up on my phone. There is it?
Previously on Wizard Team, the band of Robyn's life dropped an album and we haven't even.
Well, now I gotta restart.
To it. Previously on Wizard Team.
Do you want to just do it now and then we can get into Legendborn? This is why we're here.
Robyn said,
set the timer, Porshèa. Give her 90 seconds.
Okay, yeah, Robyn has 90
go ahead.
seconds.
You have 90 seconds.
I have 90 seconds.
Yes. Take it.
Okay, fine. I will give you all 90 seconds. All I ask is for you to purchase Better Place and then stream it. I will give you the money to purchase it. I come out here, I do these things, I read these books, I support y'all and what you want to do and all of this stuff. It's one app, and also the song is good. The song is really freaking good. And the two people closest to me, two people. I don't have that many friends, y'all. I have like a handful of friends and my dog. My dog has listened to Better Place more than these two fake friends have. How dare? And then they'll tell me, act like I'm the one with the problem. Act like I'm overreacting. Act like they were shocked and I didn't even know. You didn't even tell. How did I not tell you? It's all I've been talking about. I ain't thought about anything else. I didn't even know. And then I say, okay, well, buy the song. I'll give you the money. Well, you know, the way my phone's plan is set up in my memory, and it is one song. It ain't even a megabyte, gigabyte. I don't know. It is one song. It is 3 minutes. And it's good. It's not like I'm asking you to download the Taylor Swift album or like whatever. I don't know if she's good or not. Don't come for me. I don't listen to her. It's not like I'm asking you to Jack Harlow.
Wow. I said before we started recording, she said a purchase is worth 10 streams. I'll listen to it. I will stream it 10 times.
Yes.
I feel like that's a good compromise.
Yep. She wants both. The 10 streams.
Yeah, then she upped it to 20 streams. I'm like, well, you said 10.
You have to purchase it. It's fine. Whatever. Stream it, though. You better listen to it. And the thought that you think that you're going to listen to it once and not want to listen to it 10 times is ridiculous. They're not your boy band, fine, but you have to admit that they are the boy band. Because whenever I listen to NSYNC when y'all were in the car, Little Miss, I didn't get my license until I decided to get my license when I was a grown up. Whenever I listen to NSYNC, you were bopping along. Don't act brand new.
I have NSYNC on my phone. I don't act brand new. I didn't buy them though. Like I just added them to my library. I did not buy NSYNC
products versus streaming at your own whim without having to take up space that you may want to use for something else. That's the only thing.
Have you listened to the song?
Pardon?
No,
in its entirety. Porshèa, over here with your little head. Have you listened to the song in its entirety? Have you listened to the song in its entirety? Did it come out on Friday? Is it now Sunday?
Most of it.
Okay, we should go.
Yeah. Previously, somebody gonna set a timer. Back to Bree. Previously on Wizard Team. Okay, so Bree checks on Nick in his room after the Hell Snake debacle. He's healed by William. He asks her to stay, and so then they spend the night together. which is very cute. She's all nervous about it. He realizes she's nervous about it, so he turns down the game a little bit, except that doesn't really make it better. She's still nervous. Anyway, the next morning, he walks her to her dorm, but on the way, they kiss, Nick Curry with the shot. And yeah, so everything's sweet. They're all like, happy. Bree's feeling giddy, teen love and all that. She then goes to her therapy session with Patricia, which immediately tones down. The vibes are different. Vibes shift. They're different. We're in a graveyard now. But we get to memory walk, which is basically time traveling with your ancestors, and is everything that I want to read about. See, Luna knows.
Luna's upset with
so
y'all.
then. Oh, okay. So then Patricia takes Bree on this memory walk where we meet some of her ancestors. They see one scene from the past, but then one of Patricia's ancestors is like, that's not enough. I'm taking you with me. So Bree goes on multiple rides through space and time with various ancestors of Patricia's. And in doing that, she learns more about Root, how it works. She learns more about Bloodcraft, which is the kind of magic that the Order practices. We learn about the Crossroads man, aka the demons, and babies that can be made from demon and human relations. And then we also find out that somebody was opening the gate back in the 90s. Spoiler alert, it's Lord Davis, but we don't know that yet.
I mean, the real joke there is that multiple gates were opened from demons and humans copulation, and the gates of hell where the demons are.
Yep. So lots of things are happening.
She said demons and human copulation.
I mean, that's what's happening. And then Bree, after that, she runs off. She finds out about, after she finds out about this, she's like, I gotta talk to Nick. Shit's been popping off. And then that's where we left. That's where we left off.
Wow. Okay. That was, I don't even know if you made it the 90 seconds, but I felt like
I think
you
I was
did.
a little bit over.
But, that's fine. That's what you do when you are not in a better place. Chapter 27. So Bree has pushed the statue of Carr and then ran to the lodge. She gets to the lodge looking for Nick. Sarah and Tor are in the foyer. And they're in the entryway. When she runs in, they let her know that Nick is not there. So she asks where William is. And Tor tries to cop an attitude, but Thar is like running interference and Bree's just like it whatever. She runs to downstairs to talk to William. Nick is taking his dad to the airport because he's going to see to talk with the regents and check on the northern chapter, I believe. So when Bree gets to Will, she confronts him about Cell being Shadowborn, and Will is like, whoa, calm down, but then explains that Cell is a Cambion, and all of Merlin's line Merlin was a Cambion, and so then is his entire line. And we kind of get a little bit of a one-drop rule, like, demon blood allows you to see and manipulate ether without the awakening or the oathing. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say that one thing about this is like Bree just like comes in with this information and hasn't really thought about like how she's gonna explain how she found out
about it. Yeah.
And so that's like the one part about like eventually she has a conversation with Nick that I'm like, okay, cool, like, but it's Nick, you know what I mean? Like you just, and I guess she knows that William is not one who's gonna ask questions, so
yeah. And William already knows that there's something. I mean,
else going on
different
about
Bree. Knows that Bree is broken mesmer, but doesn't feel like she's a demon the way that Cell feels like all of these things equal demon, but does know there's like something more going on. But I trust Nick, I trust Bree. She gives me good vibes, so it's fine. And it isn't actually until like later on when she's so anyway, so she's like confronting Will with this, and William is explaining. First off, Will is like, close the door. How did you know this? Like, and she just says like she figured it out. As he's going into what Merlins are, so Merlins, the I guess race class of the order.
Well,
they're all descendants from the original Merlin, whose mother was human and father was a Gorachel incubus, which it's so funny because like Bree is like, all Merlins are part sex demon. Sex demon, and Will's like, why'd you have to whisper sex like that? Why'd you have to whisper it? I emphasize.
That's what you want to call
it. But also explains why she feels that Cell is too beautiful to exist, because his daddy, well, his great 6th century removed granddaddy was a powerful Gorachel incubus.
Incubus. It's funny because his mom was then the succubus, and then it's like, so.
No, the mom. Oh, his mom. The mom was because an incubus is just the male version of a succubus. And also, an incubus is a really good band. But if you ask Porshèa and Bayana, they'd be like, "I'm not listening to them, and I'm not going to stream."
I have listened to Incubus. Don't even know that. Actually, we grew up in similar eras. Thank you.
I don't.
So anyway. There's no Legendborn awakening spell needed for Merlins because basically Ether Affinity and Demon Blood is dominant. That's the thing, which I'm like, okay, he is like pre-med. Is this math? I don't know. Like, break your Punnett square dominant. I'm like, am I supposed to know what that means?
Yeah.
You don't remember a Punnett square?
6th grade science class.
Yeah. It's like the little square. Here, hold up.
It's like, dominant and recessive traits? It's like 4. It starts off with 4, like it's like 4 square, and then it's A. It's capital A, capital A, capital A, lower A. I got you. Double A's.
Y'all can do all of this, and like she's now drawing that. Now I guess that makes sense about him drawing a circle with the M and the I. I was like,
it's a little smudged because this pen is leaking, but it's like this thing.
Yeah.
So the capital is the dominant trait, and the lowercase is recessive. Yeah. And then it's like, if the capital A was brown eyes and lowercase was blue eyes, then that's like if it's capital A, you have brown eyes. If it's capital A, lowercase a, you would have brown eyes. But if it's lowercase, you have... So it's like a gene thing.
Okay. And it breaks that. That's how
this is like the one thing I remember from like science.
That and how to draw a cell. Like the nucleus goes here.
Yeah.
It's like the earth core. And you're like, okay, cool. I can write this. I can
draw out of taking that class. I was really good.
You how? It was like
basic science class.
Yeah, how did you get out of that?
I was really good at getting out of classes that I thought would be too difficult, and then in my adult age was like, I probably shouldn't have been so scared to take those classes because now I don't know.
Basic science. It's not even like it's
That's
like.
what I'm like, how?
Okay, well, also I was a depressed kid, so I don't remember my childhood, so I don't remember this.
That's fair. That I feel like makes I feel like that makes more sense.
I don't. I was like,
that's
why she write this like I'm supposed to know what this is? Apparently I'm supposed to know.
I was like, maybe the visual would trigger something.
Yeah, like refresh your memory, and you're like, excuse me now.
Yeah, like absolutely not. Never seen that before in my life.
But good on y'all. It breaks the Punnett square. That's how dominant demon genes are, and so Merlin's, Cell included, all have these dominant genes, and it doesn't matter at this point how far removed they are from the original Merlin Cambion. It also makes me think, though, because, I mean, the line is law and all of this stuff, but I'm wondering how many Merlins might possibly not be descendant of the Merlin and be descendant from like a different Cambion, and then just like fold themselves into the order so that they can like hide in plain sight. You know what I mean? Like if Valak had babies, not Valak because they would be black babies, and then that would, but if another demon Cambion had a baby who was white, and they just like were like, you know what, to make life easier for myself and not hide in the shadows, which we see a lot more of like the rest of the magical world in Bloodmark. I wonder how many of them are actually tracing their line back to Merlin.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure not all of them are, because like there can only be so many people within like one offspring generation or whatever that go off. And it's interesting too, because it's like you don't want too much, like Stell's not going to be related to all the Merlins. Like you don't want too much like interrelations going on or whatever.
But then I don't think you
have to, because you can still be with other humans and create more Merlins. Like I don't think it's not like they don't have to intermix is the point.
But there was someone at some point who was like, we're going to make the best kinds of Merlins, and I mean we're going to.
Yeah, but I also was like, thinking that like that might also have something to do with the like y'all go crazy type of thing, like blame it on like demons, but it's also a little bit of like
inbreeding.
Anyway, so that kind of is William's explanation of Merlins, but then he also says, in addition to their seductive traits, which at this point are passive and not much more, he says, like not much normal human genes couldn't produce, is how he explains their seductive traits. Eye color aside, he then talks about passive but still effective. 1 minute they're talking blood work, the next you're wondering if the infirmary bed will hold 2 people. Don't believe me, just ask Tor. All of a sudden, Bree is like, Tor and Cell got a little something. What's happening? But then says like he's not evil, but he is volatile, and then says, they're kind of from. This part is so like, to me, just like a very good encapsulation of what's wrong with the Order and how disconnected they are from like humanity, even though that's the thing that they're ostensibly trying to protect. He says, from both a medical and military perspective, Merlins are perfect warriors. Hearts like long-distance runners, pumping leisurely 30 beats per minute, core temperature is a toasty 110 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to cook a human brain like a fried chicken steak, but it means they burn away any human viruses or bugs. Enhanced metabolism, speed, strength, vision, and then here comes Cell, and hearing, and then...
Before we get into that, I just want to say, okay, so we've established that we're all team like triangle or whatever, but
Cellbrick.
I lean team Nick, but however,
I know.
You can blame Stephenie Meyer for this, but one of my favorite like tropes is the like love interest who runs hot. I don't know why. It's like, no, they're literally hot. I love that. So every time I read that, I'm just like, yes.
That's one of my favorite things about werewolves too. I read a lot of paranormal.
Yeah, I'm just like,
and there's always like that moment when the heroine or whoever is close to death or whatever, and then they like transform to warm them up, or they just don't even transform. They just like tuck them in
their normal body heat.
Yeah, to give them the body
heat. As someone whose partner runs warm, I call him like the furnace. I just enjoy being able to have that ability. Like if I get too cold, it's just like I need you to turn on the furnace part of your body. Because I don't have the ability to do that, but you do.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to be able to do it.
It's so good.
Me and my constant anemia don't understand it, but appreciate it, especially in like as a trope in writing. So Cell burst in though. It's like, and hearing
drama.
William,
like I couldn't even take the time to
stands
really
up, puts
appreciate
himself-
the 110 degrees before he starts.
I can't even appreciate the tea that was dropped with him and I'm like, was it
I'm like,
was
here
it
we go.
unrequited? Like, what happened?
What happened? No,
right?
none of that.
Even
Then here comes
Bree
Sel. You're just like,
couldn't fully
here he goes.
like understand or internalize what she just learned, and then he breaks in. But
like,
I do love that, like, immediately Will gets up and puts himself between Sel and Bree. Like, says, Sel, calm down, but, like, is doing that as he bolts out of his chair, hands up, and then, like, puts himself in between them. And is like, volatile, as I like, in case you needed a physical demonstration of what I mean, here comes Sel. And then Bree decides that she's like, again, or like reaffirms that she's not going to cower in front of Sel, says like, this is getting real old, King's Mage, you need new tricks. And Sel's accusing her of snooping or trying to like turn Will and Nick against him, or just being generic demon behavior. And then Bree says, throwing a temper tantrum, Crossroads child. And
why would you say that?
First off,
she likes to smoke. She likes
what was
it.
What was your thinking behind this?
After Bree always wants smoke. I feel like that's what we have to take from this. So she's like,
but it's not even about the smoke. It's about the, like, again, aren't you supposed to be keeping what you know
a low profile,
quiet?
But also, like, you just learned this term. Like, you don't even know if it'll work on him. You don't even know
really know what it means.
This is why I love this so much, because so Sel's dark eyes fly up to his hairline, red spots appear on his cheeks, direct hit. She says, she's like, got him. But also, it's such a Black insult, and like a way that she afterwards is like, oh, I should be a little bit more protective over Patricia and the like root crafters. Yeah. But that did not cross her mind.
That's what I'm saying. She didn't, like, that might have been a strictly Black community.
It feels the same way. Like, when you call someone, like, when you like, oh, look at that Bebe's kid. Look at Bebe's kid. And like other people are like, what? I don't understand. Because it's very Black. It's a very Black term and insult. Like, that hopefully, Sel is 19. So like hopefully he doesn't have the knowledge of like where that actually like comes from, but
perhaps it is permeated enough that like people outside, like, it's not just the Black community that says it. Like, everyone says about demon children. Maybe because for it to hit, he had to have heard it from someone who was white, because he don't be around Black folk. He be around white folk all day.
But my thing is, like, even when we all heard them say Crossroads child, our first thoughts were like the devil went down to Georgia type of thing. And so I do think that like that imagery is across cultures, but like maybe saying Crossroads child like that is very Black. And she says it in a way that like he knows what she's saying, with the venom in her voice. But it's just really funny because he has a visceral reaction. William again is like, stop it, both of you. You, Sel, go, shoo. He literally shoos him away, and reminds him of his oath of service. And so then Sel leaves. Bree's like, oath of service? How many oaths are there and how many has Sel sworn? And then William sighs. Sel's primary oath is to Nick. His second is to Legendborn. But he's right. You're trouble, aren't you? And that's where we leave that. Bree still is looking for Nick, so she decides to go to the tap room, which she had talked to Alice about earlier, about going to this, like, go out to this bar with the Legendborn. It's very funny too, because we are in like these trials and stuff like that. But when we first met Sel and Tor and Evan, when Bree's trying to get information about them from Charlotte's like, oh, they never hang out together. And so like now we're seeing this group of people who kind of make a conscious effort to not be in the same place, like going out to a bar, and to any like once born or like normal person on campus, it just looks like a bunch of college kids going out. But like if you knew any of them separately, you might be thinking like, what is this group doing together? But that's where we're at now with like Camlin is like on the horizon. And so it, like keeping that kind of like incognito, we don't know each other stuff is not as important as like making sure that they all get along and they're working together because the demons are here. So while Bree's waiting, so first off, she uses this random person's ID. So she gets in as 21. She's like, this is really bad. It says that Monica Staten is like 6 inches shorter than I am, and she wears glasses. And as a girl who went to college in a white state, in a white population, the all Black people look like is real. And you don't have to do much to get a working fake ID. Just a Black person willing to give it up. It doesn't matter weight, height, facial features, skin tone. They're like, oh, go ahead. Oh, did you change your hair? That was I just changed my hair. Oh, okay. Looks good. Go on.
Right. Did you cut your hair? Did you do like sure
did.
Sure. I'm trying to get in this bar, so yes.
You like it? Thank you. So I love that because it was just very true to life. So she and the rest of the chapter are in the back wooden porch of this bar, and she's checking her phone. Patricia's called her 8 times. Bree sent her a text saying she needed to take care of something and explain later. But now she's starting to think about her warnings, and obviously, like, she understands, like, the blood crafters or curses come to life, and, like, abatement really, like, solidifies that that's true and that she's right. But she's mostly thinking right now about, like, Nick and that last vision in the memory walk of the people opening gates, because that is like most important. She's learning more about like the big formal selection gala, which she didn't know about, and then Felicity and Greer touch her hair. They're like thinking about it.
I want to go on. I want to go on record that we were again every day. She's by these white folks. Racism occurs.
The only day we're not sure that whether she experienced the racism is the one they skipped. Like they skipped a day before this.
Every day that we actually see her interacting with these white people, a racism occurs, and it's like, and I'm saying it, passive voice occurs when it's active voice. They do it. They invoke a racism upon her.
And these are the ones who were like
supposed to be the nice ones,
right? Like, and again, I feel like that's the intentional. That's the intention behind it, which I appreciate. Right? It's like it's usually sometimes it's strangers. A stranger will definitely come at you with their hand, and you're like, yo. Be serious, but it's
you are way too comfortable.
You're way too comfortable, but it's definitely friends. That's usually who it's by, because they're like, we're cool, we're close. They feel comfortable, and they're like, oh, your hair's different, and here you go. Now you got people
like your hair is different from mine, and I haven't wanted to touch it once. Not once have I looked at your hair.
But it's not even. And the thing too is like, so shout out to Bree too, because Bree clocks it immediately, shuts it down, and is like, is it different than yours? Is it curly? Big? Sure. But that doesn't mean you get to touch my hair whenever you want. I'm not a petting zoo. And so, like, she very clearly is like, I am experiencing a racism a minute in this chapter, and I am doing my damnedest to keep it cute. But what we not going to do,
nip that in the bud.
Just start touching me. And, like, definitely,
I would also say,
y'all gonna learn.
Like, yeah, I'll also say, like, we've seen it we've seen it already, obviously, especially, I think that was that last episode or the one before, it was the one before, where she was like, everybody was getting red. But I would also say, like, at her age, especially, like, it's very easy to just let those kinds of things go, especially when those are your friends, and to just be like, okay, like, it made me feel weird. A lot of times it's hard to articulate too. Like, it made me feel icky. But I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm tripping and I let it go. And I think less so now. So maybe, like, given the time that this came out, um, less so. But I definitely remember, like, as a teenager, those
In the
kind of
early
interactions,
00s.
not really sure like what I should do in that situation and feeling kind of weird about it, but kind of letting it go. So it's nice to like have that kind of representation or like depiction in a book where it's like, nah, that's just not okay. Like, you know what I mean?
And I also really like, because I think like you, like it's happened to me from, like you said, like it mostly happens from people that you know and like, who feel a level of like comfort with you, right? Like it does happen where it's like a complete stranger, but like that's wild.
And usually it's easier to be like, yo.
And yeah, when it's a complete stranger, it's
like in your,
you're just like, yo, don't touch me, any part of me, because I do not know you. But like, so I definitely had that moment, and I don't think that I spoke up about it. But I will say that like I appreciate the way that she articulated it, and that she didn't sit back, because I think that there have been times when I've been like, hey, you did this thing yesterday and it took me a full day to like come to terms with the fact that like I need to confront you about it, type of thing. But she did it right away, and was very clear about it, because there's also this level of like needing consent on both. Like, they didn't ask for consent, she didn't give consent. Even if you think, Greer says, sorry, Bree, flushing, and then Felicity starts to, it seems like she's about to like push back or be a little defensive, and then stops herself and nods and says, sorry, I didn't realize. And she's like, now you do. That like, that's not a normal thing. You don't just touch people, especially with their hair. Like, Greer wouldn't just touch Felicity's hair. And if they did, like,
I hope y'all have some kind of like relationship where y'all have already just got like have figured out like we're just gonna touch people to each other's hair. Like,
right.
You don't hold on. If the consent doesn't mean anything to you, that's you. But my boundary is I need consent. Like, I need for there to be consent and asked for, and then I have to give it to you before you can touch me anyway.
And they've known each other and been in the orbit. Like, these pages, these vassals, these squires and scions have all been in each other's orbit since birth, basically. And so even if these two are the two that are closest to Bree, it's been 3 days. Like,
or
like 5 now. We actually
it's maybe been 5 days, but it has not been. We do not have that shorthand. We do not have that understanding. We are not close enough. If your name is not Alice, do not touch my hair. Do not touch me without consent. And even Alice.
But Alice,
like, well, okay, we're about to do hair.
I was gonna say, like, Alice knows how to do her hair, and that's like a different relationship.
It's like she knows when and where to be, and here's another thing too. If I have something in my hair, if you see something just like in my hair, like I see something in your hair, do you mind if I help you get it out? Okay, then now you have a reason why you're in my hair. Hopefully you're not copping to just filling up in there just to do it extra while you're getting the thing out. Hopefully you're really just trying to help me with my hair. Otherwise,
and that's what I mean with like Alice too. It's like there's usually context, even if she's not like explicitly being like, can I touch your hair now? It's like, it's the wash day. Sit on down. You know what I mean? And like, Alice is doing or helping her do her hair, and that comes from a lifelong friendship, right? the fact that Alice, as an Asian person, is even like interested in learning how to like take care of Bree's hair is because of their bond and their friendship. So I just really, it's a small moment, but it's really, to me, like indicative of even the people who are most accepting to her in the order are still not her people.
Mm-hmm.
And do not know her and have huge blind spots when it comes to Blackness and how to behave.
For me, the main issue is more that
that's a Blackness thing too, because it's like, I don't care if you're Black, white, purple, whatever, you know that thing people say, green, you know, people are not purple or green, whatever. I don't care what color you are. Do not touch someone that you do not know without their permission. And like with us and our hair, so you know, our hair has been politicized, and so it's deeper than like a lot of things, and we've been othered because of it, and so there is like a deeper history. But like, don't touch a white person's hair. Like,
you don't know what be up in there. Don't be passing each other y'all's combs. That's how flights be going around the school. Like, y'all be playing. Like, just don't play. Just don't be playing. And I feel like I think that's a deeper issue with like the discord between like who's Bree. Like Bree seriously can't have people within the order because they simply. It's one thing to be like, oh, I just need to be educated. Bree is not a teacher. She's not getting paid to teach y'all. That is, you know what I mean? That's one thing. But for me, the thing that was a greater example out of this was that, like, she seriously can't have anyone because they're not coming to her correct. Like, if they actually were trying to be her friend, they would look for consent. They would be like, let me be as overly comforting as possible just to make sure I'm not overstepping any boundaries. But you're trying to be extra comfortable with her. You're trying to just, like, put on this facade of like, oh, everything's gonna be hunky-dory, but even though people are acting weird about you, I'm not gonna act weird around you, even though I am, by reaching into your hair. Like, you're trying to play like you're better than other people around the group, and you're not. Like, simply if you were, you would go out of your way to make sure she was comfortable. It would go over your own comfort. You would make you sure that you would talk to her in a way that you'd be like, hey, I'm gonna do this. Are you down? Or, you know what I mean? Like, just like be clear with your intention outwardly to her and get her consent. You would not be just doing things willy-nilly and acting like it's a problem when she pushes back. That's just as bad.
Yeah. So, speed forward. Nick finally shows up with Cell trailing him, taking his bodyguard duties very seriously. I noticed in these like 3 chapters too, like Bree clocked Cell in all black a lot more. I mean, he's always in all black, but like always. Once again, you know what I mean? And I don't know if that was like intentional because now she knows he's part sex demon. She's just like paying closer attention.
I feel like she wanted to run to Nick with what she knew because it was like, finally I have an explanation for why I'm so attracted to his scent. Like, I can't stop thinking about how he smells, and now I have a reason. He's a
right.
Incubus. That's what it is.
Sure. And I think like for her, it's mostly he's part demon. The sex demon part like explains a lot of like the tingling that she's feeling and the you know, too beautiful to exist, but like he's part demon, and that's the part that she's actually like really focused on. We've already stated that Bree does a very good job of being able to be like, you're attractive, but that's not important right now. So Nick finally shows up. Cell won't leave them alone, and this is like a double whammy. She's like, I need to talk to him, but he keeps sitting next to me, and then there's this warmth and this tingle, and I'm distracted. Like,
right, like he's definitely like
game out of his pores, and she's like, focus. You learned important information. And he's like, my knee's gonna casually touch your knee, and my arm is going to
share some tater tots. Like,
yeah, you know? Casually, we are just going to be touching in all of the spots as we casually sit here with the rest of the order. Casually, and Bree is just like, this is casual. And try not to focus on the way he sits so close to me and how after he settles, he doesn't move his body away from mine, or how warm his bicep and hip are through his clothing. I'm trying to focus.
She's having a hard time.
So then he looks at her, asks if she's okay. She's like, not exactly, but the entire order is here. And
too.
Also, you're touching me. Like, I cannot explain to you how this is.
If only the order wasn't here, we could shout at each other. We should text.
Yeah.
Or like,
if we had
go across the thing, and then I'll just call you.
Distance, maybe this would be easier to do. So he takes her under, like, into like this little private space and asks, like, okay, what did you want to talk about? Meanwhile, this reminds me of when.
Well, before that, he doesn't even ask what you want to talk about. He asked about yesterday morning.
Oh.
He's like, so what's up with? So you want to maybe do that again?
You look great tonight. And then says, so what about yesterday morning? Like, that's not what she wanted to talk to you about. You know that.
But it could have been.
Know that. But does he? He doesn't know.
Because I think even when he asks her if she's cool and she said, like, he says she wanted to talk and she's not exactly okay, she's still caught up in the so she could have not been okay for lots of reasons,
True. And it's not like their kiss wasn't interrupted in the most juvenile way.
Yeah.
So it could also be that, like, she's stuck here with the order, you're not here. And at least two big mouths know that y'all were necking in the woods. Necking in the woods. I'm an auntie. That's hilarious. But that's what they were doing. And so they do a little bit of flirtation. She's like, what about yesterday? He's like, you forget about already, B. He needs to stop calling her B because there's some seriousness afoot, but she cannot focus. He says, must have been an awful kiss. Terrible, she breathes. And then Cell is like, the drive to the airport was one thing, but now that you're back, I need you to stay in sight. And they're like, God damn it.
Very convenient that he's ready to pop up when he hears the word kiss, because his extra strong hearing tells him to come and listen in. He's already listening to the conversation. He hears the word kiss. He's like, okay, it's time to break this up right now.
He's jealous, but he doesn't know of who.
Right. The answer is both. The answer is both.
The answer is both. The answer is definitely both.
The answer is both. Nick sighs and is like, we need to talk in private for a few minutes. We're not leaving. And felt like this is a bad idea. And I can see him being like this and just doing that gesture of like the whole thing. Nick is like, leave us. Phil says, is it in order? Nick says, yes, it is. And Phil says, it's hilarious because your father put me in charge. So who's ordering who?
He asked just to explain even further why he would not be going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is it in order? Yes.
Oh, well.
Okay, great. Cute. Too bad. And then he's like, don't make a scene, Nicholas. And I love that he uses the full name. Bree looks over, everybody's down. They thought that they had found themselves a cute little private like cove in this whole thing, and everybody was just peering over, looking, ears tuned, and that's that. So later on, back in her room, she gets on the phone with Nick, and I'm like, why didn't y'all do this in the beginning? Because it solves your problem of the nearness, the touching each other. So, now they can actually have a conversation. She lets him know about the gate being open 25 years ago. And he believes her, but wants to know, like, how she found out. And that's when she kind of explains, like, I don't want to betray this person's trust or put them at risk. You're the one that told me that the regents are severely anti-ether users they don't control. And Nick is like, okay, but did this person find you or did you find them? They're like, a bit of both. Are they safe? Yes. they want to help me. They knew my mom. They've been here for a while, and they want to keep a low profile. And so Nick is like, okay, well, it's probably for the best that I don't know. So he doesn't push her to like give him a name, which I think goes a long way into like helping further the trust between Bree and Nick. But he also doesn't have a good solution for this. And so his like plan, I guess, is to continue to look for proof, and then when they find it, bring it to his father. This like, you sweet summer child. He's like, my father never got over what they did to my mom. I think he'd help us with this. Laugh out loud. And then says, and the way things are going, I might be king in a few weeks. And so having this, when I am king, I have all of the power. Like I am the one that everyone answers to. So then I will be able to find out who's responsible. And Bree's like, and punish them. And he's like, you want me to punish them? And she's like, yeah, basically. There's also another small aside about her telling him about Fell. And they get the idea of like, possibly, because she didn't see who it was who was opening the gates. And so she's like, it could have been a Merlin. She's thinking it's a Merlin. And then Nick's like, no, they're bound by oaths. And then she's like, a human holding a vial of demon blood, like just a vial of like blood like cells could possibly do. And he's like, yeah. And then she says like the line of Morgaine. So those are the kind of, that's like where they're headed into who's the person opening the gate. We know that the answer is it's Nick's daddy. It's Daddy Davis. And Daddy Davis is not going to help them with any proof. So their plan to gather proof and give it to Daddy Davis, it's futile. That's in the chapter.
Daddy Davis is a really unfortunate.
I'm not calling him Lord.
I know, but
for your own Daddy Davis, that you're like,
Daddy Davis. I mean, I don't call my father Daddy, but like, I just mean it's yeah. I get it because the alliteration. His name is Martin. We can just call him Martin.
No, we have to give him a title. He wants that title to be Lord. We refuse, but we will give him a title.
No, Daddy is not.
He is Daddy Davis, and Nick is Daddy. No, Nick
Papa.
Is Daddy, but
this is just Papa
or
Father.
Father Davis.
Oh my, yeah, it's.
Why are there ridges on Reese's peanut butter cups? Probably so they never slip from her hands. Could you imagine? I'd lose it. Luckily, Reese's thought about that. Wonder what else they think about. Probably chocolate and peanut butter.
Wizard Team is back for a new season, and with that comes a few changes. The one we're most excited about, other than reading Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, is that the Patreon chat is back. Support our work by becoming a BNC baddie at any tier, and you'll be able to watch us record live weekly, have your thoughts included on the podcast, and interact with other baddies. Go to patreon.com/blacknerdscreate to join. Surprise! It's time for the second trial. So they were like, come party with us, and like 3 hours later... We're waking you up
out of your bed. Can I just say that, like, I flipped back and forth between these pages a few times. It's like, wait, because it's so abrupt. It's just like,
yeah,
welcome to the second trial.
Like, did I miss something?
Like, huh?
Is there a page missing for my?
But that's also like, again, like that's the point. Like Bree also was like, huh? Like, how did we get here? And I love how this chapter opens, just because, like, again, like you notice, like, or like you mentioned. Bree obviously like has always noticed Sel. Like anytime he's in the room, he gets a mention, but it feels like she's watching him closer now. And like, I mean, this is also like the first chapter or we're gonna get where like they have more extended time together. But yeah, so it reads, Cell stands like a drill sergeant on the lodge's front lawn, feet planted wide and hands behind his back. He's dressed in black, as always, but his long coat is gone. His tattoos are on full display below sleeves rolled at the elbow. They wind down his forearms and wrists, and I can't help but study them. I wonder how far up they go and how many he has before I remember I detest him and shouldn't care about his tattoos at all. It's like, sure, girl. I believe you. Totally.
Whatever you have to tell yourself.
Right, you gotta remind yourself that you detest somebody.
I dislike this person.
Listen,
I am looking
you
up and
gotta
down.
remind yourself that the cute boy is also part demon, part sex demon, and so maybe
and also an asshole. Not gonna lie,
Right,
Sal's been
yeah.
violent this whole time. Love him, but yikes.
Like, it's one thing to be an a-hole to people around you. But it's another to be an a-hole to me. Like,
yeah, specifically.
Yeah,
and still make me feel fluttered.
Things in my body. Yeah. No, we don't do that.
So the second trial is a scavenger hunt. There's 8 of them now. The final 6 will get to move on to the last trial. So their goal is to find different ethered objects using riddles. And then the more objects they find, the more they will draw the attention of Cell's construct hellhounds. So they have to not get caught by the hellhounds, and then because if they get cornered or injured, they automatically fail. Sorry, I'm just trying to double check. Okay, so they have until the end of the night to find as many as they can, and whoever has the most, or I guess the 2 who have the least number of objects are the ones who won't pass, essentially.
Yeah.
So, and they're scattered like across the entire campus. Which is, that's really unfortunate.
Annoying, because you get the sense that UNC is not a small campus.
No, it's not at all.
And even if it was a small campus, going back and forth is annoying.
Yeah. And it's night. So. You want to sleep. You got to think. Like, you want me to think after I've only had a couple hours of sleep?
Bree's only had, a few hours of sleep. It's really funny, though, because she does say, like, the only people who don't appear to be intimidated are Whitty and Vaughn, and neither of them even look tired. And I'm like, probably because they had some insider knowledge and either
maybe
left early or taken some performance enhancers, this college where non-prescribed Adderall usage runs amok, questions, but
yeah. Or they're just night owls.
Yeah, I like to think that they're cheating because that
probably. Robyn's like, I think that. So yeah, so each page will have a chaperone who isn't their sponsor, which means that they'll just have somebody there. They can't help them, but it's to make sure that it's like they're like not really judges exactly, but just to make sure that they're not like cheating or that's pretty much it, I think. Just to make sure they're cool. Pretty much the cheating. So as this is all being explained, like Bree is looking at Nick because they're all standing across from their specific sponsors, and Nick is heated. In the words of Beyonce.
I was about to say,
like if I had a fan to snap right now,
I can never say heated anymore. Like, fan him off. He's hot. Like, he's having a hard time. But it's also, it's carrying over from the last chapter in, like, him and Cell right now are at odds. In part because Cell is in charge while or not in part, really, because Cel's in charge while his dad's gone, and the power has very clearly gone to his head. Like, it was, like, you can see it from their conversation before, when he interrupted their kiss, and even now in the way that he's standing there and like all of that, he's kind of enjoying getting on Nick's nerves, and they obviously, we don't see, at least here, we don't see like their kind of beef, but it's very clear that there is some, on top of the fact that like Nick does not want to be here, right? He still doesn't want to be here. Like, he's still struggling with his own issues as it regards to like being back in the order. And Cell is not making it easy on him.
It gives you the sense of like, you can kind of see the seeds of like where their resentment comes from, or like it's like continuing now that, I guess now that Nick is back, it doesn't solve everything the way that everyone else thinks it is. Like, there's still issues, especially between Nick and Cell.
And I think they're also like bigger, I guess, now, like exacerbated now, because like Camlan is coming, because Cell is convinced that Bree is a demon, and even like Tracy like dropped this short story, we've like mentioned it before, from Cell's perspective, that kind of goes through this. I think it ends at the end of like where we are in this chapters. Like, they have already had a discussion about Bree, and Nick like asking him to leave her alone, not wanting, again, like they have this bond where he can feel when Nick is in danger and Nick can feel his bloodlust. So there's also that like strain happening. So yeah. So they get paired off. Felicity goes with Spencer, Russ is paired with Whitty, Victoria and Sarah split Carson and Blake. William takes Greer. Bree's like, damn it. Because obviously, if she can't be with, she says if she couldn't have Felicity, Evan, or Russ, because those are folks that like she has interacted with, she would want William. But now she's between Nick, Pete, and Fitz, which she's not like. I think she's just uneasy around Fitz because of that conversation that they had.
And she knows she can't have Nick.
Right, she knows she can't have Nick. So it's either between Pete and Fitz. But Tor gives Pete to Vaughn, which means that Bree would be with Fitz. But Cell, again, is on a power trip. He decides he's going to go with Bree. And Fitz can go with Sydney. Nick is going to stay in the lodge. So it's like, so why did you even wake me up out of my sleep? To come do this shit.
Power play.
But you didn't even tell me we were doing. So like Nick also did not have, like, Bree kind of suspects that Nick didn't realize that the trial was going to happen that night either. So like, you did all of this and now I got to stay behind. Like, you should just let me sleep. It's a power play.
It's also the like, when he said earlier, like, oh, you thought you were going to order me? I order you. Like, he was like, oh, no. And now you're going to go to sleep. I woke you up and now you're going to go back to sleep. So, see you.
But I also think, too, like, you get the sense that, like, fair or not, and I guess it is kind of fair because they all really do it, that, like, people look out for their pages of the people that they put up, right? So, like, Nick would not have been talking to Bree until the wee hours of the morning had he known that there was going to be a trial, and like would have not told her what to expect or anything like that, but just been like, get some rest, we'll talk about it in the morning, you know what I mean? Like, and you get the sense too, just from the way that like Whitty and Vaughn, I think they cheated, but still, like, you get the sense that like they all of the people who put pages up look after them to a certain extent. Evan's page got disqualified in the first trial, and they kind of even talk about like how they're not there, right? And so I think it's also a matter of like, for Nick, it's like, now not only are you messing with me, but you're messing with me through Bree.
And also the fact that he doesn't trust Cell with Bree alone. Cell's been running around screaming about how Bree is a demon and how he wants to kill her.
Gonna kill her.
So it's just like,
and like he's making clear to Nick how like, and so you know that they have the bond. So if he feels emotions that feel a certain way, so this is where it's not this episode. Next episode we'll probably cover where we leave off with the short story. If he feels murderous intent, Nick is gonna know that the person that he's with as he's feeling his intent is Bree. And so he's going to be like
definitely feeling some intent.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think he's feeling it yet,
but it's like next episode.
But he doesn't trust. Yeah, he doesn't trust it. On top of the fact that like Cell is again, it's a power play. Like he's obviously trying to get under Nick's skin. On top of his plan, his harebrained scheme that he's got up and running. So it's just like. It's problematic. Nick tries to go against it, or tries to like speak up and be like, nah, this isn't cool. But Cell continues to be like, I'm in charge. I'm the HBIC of the order right now. And
he's being the Nene Leakes of Real Housewives of Atlanta right now. He's like, I'm her. I'm.
It also just is like, it's so like these are children. You know what I mean? Like,
he's also barely.
He
has not had his brain fully developed. Like he's just
none of the frontal lobes here are.
Like there are no grown-ups here, and this is not the way that you want. It's just not. It's not what you want.
No, I will say, and I think it might have come up before. I don't remember. But I just want to restate, I guess, like, I do appreciate how their beef it does now a little bit, but it doesn't have to do with Bree. Like, this shit is deep and goes way back. And before she even came up in here talking about Nick told me to meet him at this place that I've never been to before.
Which is still a wild ass thing that happened.
Hilarious. But yeah, so it's like it is she's in it now, but it's just another added thing to a like issue that they've been having for a long time. So yeah, I appreciate that. Having, I mean, not shade because I love this series, but having just finished The Hunger Games, where the beef between the two love interests is purely that they want the same girl. So yeah. Anyway, so there are 40, so they have 3 hours. It's 1:30 in the morning. They have 3 hours. Like, honestly, this is just, if I had known, I wouldn't have been out with the fake ID and the
torture.
Anything out of it.
I'd be like, Nick, call me when you get back and we could talk on the phone. I'm going to bed at 8:30.
Like, right? She didn't get to talk to Nick. She didn't get to like flirt with Nick. She didn't get to do anything. So you may as well just stay in bed. May as well just chalk that out.
Yeah. So there's 40 objects on the list, but again, these are all riddles and they're scattered all across the campus. Bree asks like why, like how they're even able to do this, because again, she goes into one building, it's unlocked. She's like, how does this work? But the administration for the school, again, like the order built this campus, so they're all up through admin and the high places of the university, so they kind of can do whatever they want. Everybody else is asleep and they're like, we got free reign of the campus, so we're chilling.
It's crazy though to just think about like the way that Cell reminds her of this in like kind of almost like a threatening way. Like, you cannot hide from us, demon. Like,
right.
He's just on, like, he's doing the most.
Yeah.
In every aspect.
Yeah. And then also, but I will say, like, it's also, again, one of the first real scenes with just Bree and Cell, and like in my head it's always later, but like we get half a book of just Bree and Nick, and then the last half we get more Cell, as he starts to realize how very wrong he was. And I will say, like, I also do like their banter, you know. So Bree points to one of the clues and is like, silver and red, white and yellow, find me flashing where the stoners mellow. How am I supposed to know where the stoners mellow? Maybe you know if you got high, says Cell. And you're just like, you know, like those kind of moments are funny. And also he's not, like, again, they're not allowed to help, which is like the point of not having their chaperones or their sponsors chaperone them. But he's also like particularly unhelpful, it feels like. It might have been better if he just didn't talk at all, but every time she says something, he's just like, or, you know, like one of those things that make you feel like, am I wrong? Maybe I didn't do this right. But anyway, as they're talking, or as they're going, Bree kind of asks why, like, she's kind of over him, but is also still unnerved by him, and he can tell that, and he enjoys that. She's also trying to ask him, like, why he thinks that she's a demon. And he says, I told you I'm keeping an eye on you, mystery girl, because you think I'm a demon. Are you saying you're not? Isn't that the pot calling the kettle black? Aren't you the Shadowborn here?
That's what I've been saying. I'm like, sir.
And he's like, I don't know what you think you know or what you've been taught, but I am not born of shadows. Planting a demon in our ranks disguised as a naive once born is the perfect way to sow discord, but it won't work with me. The thing is like, you're still sowing discord. Like, you're actually the source of the discourse, sir.
Is it not working? Are you not disrupting
it's definitely
everything
working
to do this? Like, are you not disturbed? Are you not?
The actual demon who hiding in the ranks hasn't had to do a single thing. Like, hasn't lifted a finger to sow discord, because you got it.
And wouldn't it make even more sense for the person to be someone who is already part of the order and therefore less likely to have an eyebrow raised than a person that everybody's looking at because they don't fit already?
Right. Like, why would as a demon, why would you impersonate a black girl to get into the order?
It doesn't make any sense. They already treat black people like they're demons anyway. So why?
Come on, like,
it's giving. So funny.
It's giving, like, again, spoilers. It's giving Arthur taking over Bree and Bloodmarked. It's like, this ain't gonna go how you thought. Like, but yeah. So they're moving through. Bree is finding clues. We also kind of get a little bit of, like, more of an insight into how Cell's magic works. So she finds this ethered mug in the piano room, and it kind of, like, is glowing in and out. And so Cell explains that ether is an active element, that he's holding the shape in place. And then Bree is like, you're holding all 40 objects together right now. Cell says he created them all at once, and can sense them at a distance and reinforce them if this lasts more than a couple hours. So he's doing that, and also the hellhounds are also roaming around. So he's doing, like, a lot while also, you know, messing with Bree. So it's just I guess the point is, I appreciate the moments where we still get, like, oh no, Cell is, like,
very good,
super powerful, like, and he's very competent at what he does, and, like, he's doing all of this while still plotting to kill her. Bless you. Which obviously she doesn't know yet, but it's happening. So
I wonder about that too, because it's like, this is how you know that Cell does not have. Cell is like a multitasking master, and like, kind of like why he is so volatile. So he's basically like a type A personality, juggling all of these, like doing the group projects alone. And on top of that, on top of like having to like run these trials, and he's like the one holding all this magic, Lord Davis leaves and leaves him in charge to also like keep watch of Nick, which to me is like, okay, kind of makes sense that he doesn't want Nick out in the field to chaperone, because it is like, I have to hold all these things together, and so it's easier if you're in the, you're behind the wards, which
but again, you could have just left them asleep.
But could have left him asleep. But also then it's like, well, couldn't Evan or someone else chaperone Bree? It's like both things. Like he's doing all this stuff, which is impressive. But then he adds on to all of the impressive stuff that he's doing and should be doing. He adds petty on top of that and like murderous intent. And so then it like everything falls apart, because it's like, had you just sat here and like ran this trial, kept Nick safe, been in charge of the order while Lord or Daddy Davis is gone, I'd been sitting there like, I get why you're so like short triggered and volatile, but like valid, you're doing all of the work. Then you have to go and add all this extra.
Like some of that stuff you didn't have to take on,
right?
Or even like approach it taunting, in that way.
Taunting, chaperoning, and taunting Bree. You didn't have to do this. There were other people. You could have said Tor, which would have just been as awful for Bree.
I feel like honestly, part of me wonders if the part of him that's attracted to Bree did not want her to be paired, like saw her about to get paired with Fitz and was like, "No, I got it." Like he already had the plan in place, but also I feel like he was like, "I don't want anyone else to torture her. I want to be the only one who tortures her."
Yeah, like he doesn't want her tortured. He wants her tortured because she's a demon, not because she's black.
Right.
I think I said a couple episodes ago, which I'm like,
and also because it'll make like Nick will feel it, and it'll like it also has to do with he's trying
like
to
a double fold. Yeah, it's like a double. He's like, oh, double homicide. I can
direct hit, as Bree said.
I feel like that should be our title, but maybe not. So Bree's making her way through the list. But she hasn't really run it into any trouble. She hasn't seen any of the hounds. But Sel says that he felt one earlier that was like nearby, but it didn't catch her scent. And Bree's like, "Oh, lovely. Were you going to warn me a bloodthirsty hellhound was a bloodthirsty hellhound? I can't speak. The thing was nearby.
A bloodthirsty hellhound was nearby."
Yes. And Sel is like, "Why would I do that?" Which again, petty, but also he isn't supposed to. So whatever, fine. So the next clue she finds, or a riddle, is I was the first and my rest is the oldest. Let there be no debate. Just my luck. This is some sort of uber obscure medieval crap. And then, so she says this and it makes Sel laugh.
This is a Kanye West moment. It's like, it gave me the Kanye West
gift. Because there's a moment where he laughs. They're both shocked and they're like just looking at each other. And then Sel immediately scowls. He like shuts it down. But like he legit thought that was funny.
Yeah. Don't take it personally. Yeah. A broken clock is right. Even a demon cracks a good joke every once in a while.
A good joke every once in a while, you know? So Bree is kind of like going through it, but she realizes where it is. She's like, I don't really want to go back there, but you know, she's on a timer. She can't be like, nah, I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to find a different one. So she has to go back to the graveyard, which was not, again, she wasn't ready to go back there so soon after doing the memory walk with Patricia, which now I think about it was maybe like 12 hours ago. It wasn't that long ago. So yeah, that makes sense. She's very much like, damn, I was just there and did some pretty
I'm very much
getting stuff.
We talked about this when we talked about as we often do. Hey, is this our first time bringing up S.H.I.E.L.D. for Legendborn? Maybe.
Possibly.
Huh.
It very much gives me that one moment in S.H.I.E.L.D. I know we talked about it in like a fandom function where they just kind of realized they had no breaks, and Mac was like, I just want pie. And then they immediately got snatched up again.
Yep.
Like, that's what Bree is going through. Just like crisis after crisis, trauma after trauma, racism after racism.
Like,
And
can
then
she
you're like,
just
oh,
chill?
that last thing was 12 hours ago?
Yeah,
she
and
get
it's
a
hard
weekend?
to like, because even though this book is, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like fast paced. I say it's probably medium, but like, and it's large. But even still, I think in your brain, when you read things like this, in your head, it's taking longer. Even if it's going fast, it's taking longer to get
There are
through.
like days that happen off page, or maybe even weeks that happen off page. They're just normal.
We've only had like half a day happen off page so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you know, we're tired, but imagine how tired Bree is. So yeah, so they're walking through the graveyard. Cell is following her, a silent figure blending into the shadows. Because one of the other things is like, because there's a point where like he scares her because he's using what she calls demon feet, so he's very quiet, can't really hear him when he's walking. So she says, you've never seen me harm Nick, so why do you still think I'm Shadowborn? And Cell says, you're immune to Mesmer. Not true, Bree says immediately. Lies. You willed the sights too easily for someone who has only recently received it. You saw the easel at the quarry, and you have enthralled Nicholas. Enthralled is
doing a lot of work.
Is Nicholas the only one fighting being enthralled, perhaps?
I mean,
your concern is you protest too much, and the thralling is actually for your own self, and you're fighting that.
You've enthralled me and
but
my
maybe
boyfriend.
Yeah, how dare.
And I feel it even more intensely because I feel his feelings too. So I feel it double whammy, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
Something's wrong. You must be a demon.
Yep.
I've been trying to give Nick this good for years, and he has never reacted like this.
Oh my god.
It must be demon.
Oh
because
my god.
I'm demon, and I can't get Nick to do this. To
you
behave this way.
You got Nick to come back to the order when I was there, when he swore up and down. He wouldn't even stay here for me, but he gonna come back for you? For you? He only met you 2 hours before you came. Demon. That's the only explanation.
You see it, Porshèa. You see it.
In addition to the timing of your appearance is too convenient, demons are crossing through gates at increasing rates at not only our chapter, but also the others embedded in schools up the coast. It's all but inevitable the table will be gathered, but Nicholas is vulnerable, symbolic. If anything happens to him before Arthur calls and he claims his rightful title, the order will go into chaos. Bree's like, I thought you hated Nick. Cell says Nicholas's petty childhood concerns and daddy issues have never been of greater importance than the order's mission. He should have been preparing himself for the call instead of whining about his duty. I don't think his mother getting mesmered so severely that she couldn't remember her own child is a petty childhood concern. She only wanted to protect him. She tried to kidnap him, and the line is law. Again, this is a cult. This is a cult. And it's interesting, especially because Sal has his own issues with his own situation with his own mom. So I also think part of this is
money problems.
He had his own mom issues. He had his own issues, well, it's that, and it's also he had his issues. I think his mom is at this point has succumbed to the demon blood, I think is what it is, right?
That's the story they're telling.
Yeah, that's
the story is what I'm saying. Yeah. But I think in his head, he's I dealt with that and I'm still here.
I'm still
doing my duty. Right. But Nick all of a sudden can't do it because of his mom. You're Arthur, buck up.
Yeah. And I got that sense too. be, but like, I love that like he says this and Bree just kind of stares at him like, oh, you are broken. Like, and he is. I don't think there's another way to like handle that sentiment of like you talk like. But I was also, it's interesting because like you would think that Cell would have some level of reaction to like Bree just saying like they mesmered his mom, like, oh, you guys are that close, like he's telling you this thing, you know what I mean? But it's interesting to me that he doesn't even have that kind of reaction because he's so exactly, and like he's so convinced that she has enthralled him, and that's why they've gotten this, like he's confided this much in her this quickly. But yeah, they both have issues. Therapy.
Yeah.
If there, I mean, deprogramming actually is what is needed. I don't even think therapy is the thing. I think we need
deprogramming a starting point to start to analyze what he needs to be deprogrammed.
Mm-hmm. So Bree continues down the aisle. Cell stops talking, but then she hears a flap of heavy wings, and turns to look at Cell, but he's gone. And then there's a low growl behind her, and she runs. She's like, you know what? Not today. And when you end there, it could potentially just be a hellhound, and Cell is like, you know, I'm not supposed to help you, but obviously we find out he's wilding. So
into the wilding chapter. I mean, when is he not wilding? So Bree starts off at a full sprint in seconds. As soon as she hears the sound, she's out. Which, black folk, you know, we hear an issue and we run. This is exactly what we were asking her to do at the quarry. We were like, why are you lingering? We all know protocol. Protocol is to run. If you see other people leaving, you leave too. She finally has it. But unfortunately for her, she's not fast enough because Cell is coming around saying in a taunting and amused voice, reveal yourself, Brianna. Her full name. Nick has gone to B. He's gone full Brianna. And of course he's above her somewhere, and she's leaping over gravestones, racing towards the mausoleum section, and she's almost there. She can see the buildings, and she's trying to. Her plan is if she can get inside of them, maybe she will be able to like hide this out. But Cell keeps pace with her and shouts down from a tree because he loves to stay in trees around Brianna.
Spider monkey.
Literally.
He's like, give up the ruse, because again, he's like, this is a final like confession he's trying to get out of her. Like,
yeah, Bree is the demon. He is a spider monkey. Neither one of them are happy.
He's planning to run her aground, and I noted this as our ancestors did not run the Underground Railroad for this. Like, he is lethally unleashing a hellhound on Bree in the graveyard at 3 a.m. And we had to like, our ancestors had hush puppies. They had to wade in the water to get from around hounds they were being chased down by. And this man is just like all of those traumatized things that we have in our genes is evoking that out of Bree, where she has to go in full out sprints in a graveyard at 3 a.m. And I just
he really did not temperature check this plan at all. For like racial, he didn't have what do they call them? Racial sensitivity reader. He didn't have one of them. He didn't beta read this at all. He was like, I get that you're trying to prove that she's a demon, but she's also a black woman, and maybe we want to think about unleashing a hound on her.
But that wouldn't matter if she was a demon. Again, as a demon, he's not thinking all the way through. He's not picking up the signs.
They're like the optics here. It's like the optics are she's a demon.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's all gone from the point that he's decided that that's what it is.
Bree catches a sight of this hound, and it looks exactly like the one that she saw when she first saw a hellhound. And she is trying her best to get into the mausoleum, but where she is, she's currently cornered. And she feels the mausoleum behind her, but she knows without looking that the door's out of reach. The only escape routes are blocked to her, and the one that she could definitely get through is now closed off by the hound. And it's snarling and it's snapping, it's saliva drenched jaws, and she's just like, call it off, Cell. And he drops down silently beside his construct, and he lands in a crouched superhero pose with a satisfied smile, and he says, just as I thought, a coward and a liar both, because he's thinking this is gonna make her reveal the fact that she's a demon. And he goes about it like he gives a full tirade that gives like villain like speech, telling them all the reasons behind the scheme, but also he said this tone that he uses is that of a jaded second son, a la Scar from The Lion King. He's just like, he is very much like, he crosses his arms across his chest, and he has pleasure painted over his face. He says, once a true hellhound has a scent, it never gives up its prey. The only way to stop it is to kill it. And as much as I despise those Shadowborn beasts, I am much the same way. So I decided to give you two final options. Reveal your true form or kill me.
Like, bro.
Dramatic. Drama.
Relax.
So dramatic, but it's also like, if her true form is not a demon, how is she supposed to kill you? She just got here.
It's giving Salem witch trials.
You know what I mean? Like, there is no...
Like,
there's no winning.
She's supposed to win.
There is no winning.
And if she does kill you, then the order's coming after her because she just killed a Merlin. Like, where's the solution in which you're like, okay, you were not a demon.
This isn't a test.
And you were
He's
not
testing to see. That's the thing. He's
No.
not testing to see if she is a demon. He knows that she's a demon.
Yeah.
And so
He's like,
he's just
it's
doing
like
his job.
it's the opposite of like the law of like prove your innocence. He's like, prove that you're guilty the way that I told you that you're guilty. Like,
Right.
you're
Yeah.
guilty. Prove it. Like,
I'll prove
there's
it.
no option for you to prove innocence at all. Like, why would I? Where is innocence for you? And Bree gets frustrated, and she said, and rage surges through her veins, and she says, you set me up. You planned to corner me here. And then he groans as if correcting a dense student. Of course. I must admit, I was inspired by what you said yesterday in Williams Infirmary. You were right. All this cat and mouse is getting old. Again, very Scar. And she risks a step forward, but the hound snaps, and she falls backward onto the bricks. And she asks, why is he doing this? And he says, because I'm tired, Brianna, of your Shadowborn lies and the fun you must have at our expense. Planting our brethren at our oath, sending the serpent to take Nicholas under my nose, and taking part in our trials. And with every step forward, his features turn more menacing and his eyes wilder until he looks more like a hellhound construct than himself. He looks more demon than human. We both know you don't care about our mission. I can see it in your face. Bree screams, that's not true. His expression is pained and annoyed. More lies, even now. Then he kneels in front of her and sneers. I know you saw the ISIL before taking the oath. We both know that the first oath never took, and that you slowed off our sacred commitment like it was nothing, like it was worthless to you, less valuable than dirt. Bree is trembling, and she is wondering, how does he know? And he chuckles at her confusion and says, you think I don't recognize my own casting or sense its absence? He whispers in her ear, I can feel them, Brianna, the O's I've cast. And I don't feel any of me on you. And
okay.
It's foreplay, though.
I read this, and I was like, sir,
It's
the problem is that he doesn't feel himself in her. The problem, and I feel like
this is double duty. That's the point. That's the point. And I love it.
He wants
you gotta give both.
Her, and he does not.
Well, on her,
in her. I feel like it's also the entendre there.
No.
I don't care what it is. I'm here for it.
I mean, it's giving what needed to be given. It's doing what needs to be done. But also,
the triangle is triangulating.
It is.
But also, like, it is very much a Nick at the point of the triangle and Bree and Fell on two different sides.
Yeah.
But they're not touching. They're both going to Nick. Well, and then Fell might be.
For now, it's a hinge. It's a hinge, and then it's slowly gonna.
It's a hinge with a tentacle.
Bree's gonna.
Yeah.
Nobody could see that because this is a podcast, but oh well.
It's a podcast.
Become a baddie, and you could have seen the weird motion I just made to illustrate my.
That's too much unlike what you would have seen if you were watching. What is that movie with Tom Hanks where he's a Da Vinci Code? Whenever he does like the female versus the male hand movement, and you're just like, why, sir? Why did we do this?
I have never seen that movie, but
it was. Yeah. I only saw up to that part, I think, and I was like, this is it. I'm out. Like that was enough.
For some reason in my head now, I'm seeing Left Eye from the No Scrubs video, except instead of a triangle, or instead of a rectangle, she's doing a triangle.
Exactly that. Let me give you something to think about. With intentions to turn you out.
As Cell has for Bayana, because he does not feel himself on her. So Bree, as she should, is ready to be out of here. She's like, get away from me. She shoves him with shaking hands, and he laughs and rocks back on his heels. True villain mode. Fully villain mode right now. And she scrambles to her feet, but his hound is right there, and so he really has her in the corner, in a pocket. And he
crazy. It looks like she failed the test. Failed the trial.
And Cell has to keep rubbing stuff in. He already has the high ground here. He's on the low ground morally, but he has the high ground in the situation. And then he wants to just go in a further. And he says, Nicholas needs to know who you are before he's called to the throne, and you make a fool of him. William, Felicity, Russ, Sarah, notice there's no Tor in that. They all seem to think you might actually belong with us, when we both know that you don't belong anywhere. Bree is shaking, not because of what Cell's about Nick, just because of what Cell said about Nick or the others, but because of his last words. You don't belong anywhere. And Bree is like thinking back to everything she's done to get here, everything related to her mom's murder, and her body is starting to react to all these things she's thinking about. And we know what happens when she starts reflecting on the things that are upsetting her deeply. That's related to her family. And so she said there's like a balloon beneath my skin that wants to expand and outward and explode. And she looks at the hound and thinks about breathing fire into its face and watching it burn, and then laughing at its pain because it's so small is next to hers. And then she sees Cells, and she sees confidence in his ancient mission and his hunger to take her down. And she thinks that she may not know her own ancestors, but seeing Mary and Louisa and Cecilia, all she wants to do is to show him that he's not the only one with power in his veins. And that's the power. Getting to know about your own ancestors and their plight. And those aren't even her ancestors. Those are just someone in her locality who had a similar background as her. And she's like, I know what the ancestors have gone through, and I know how they would react and like what they did so that like people like me could be here. And how dare you try to act like you're the holier power here, that you're the one, like you're the only one who can be on top here. And so here comes the return of silver-tongued Bree, because she's ready now. And she says, Nick was right. Merlins are monsters. You are a monster. And his eyes widen, his lips press into an angry line, and she can't find out the horrid thing he might spell next because he doesn't get a chance to respond at all. Instead, there's a crash in the woods and a low howl, then a high piercing bark, and then another that echoes against the closed-in courtyard. Cell scowls and says, what did you do? Did you call in reinforcements? And Bree says, I didn't do anything, a-hole. Like him, her eyes are glued to the graveyard, and they don't have to wait long to see that 3 enormous foxes with green aether drifting up off like steam off of their scaly backs are there. These are true Shadowborn, no constructs and no illusions.
Hoisted by his own petard.
And so, if it may please the court, I will now state my case that Cell thinks Bree is a demon, primarily because he cannot understand his and Nick's attraction to her otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
Exhibit A.
Yeah.
It takes a demon to know a demon. And because his mom was a succubus, he thinks the enthralling thing is Bree also being a succubus. Exhibit B. He's been drawn into noticing her movements from the start. As he mentioned, he noticed her at the quarry being able to see, even though he was acting like he didn't notice her. And then Exhibit C. He is so caught up, cue Usher, so caught up that
got me feeling it.
That's literally how he feels about her.
Control. This girl got a hold
on him. That his lack of observance for the boundaries, for like the boundaries around the order, the gates for the campus or whatever, allow actual demons in mid-trial once again because he's so caught up in what Bree is doing. He and the attraction and trying to figure out why he's attracted to her. He keeps getting caught up in not being able to defend the territory he is charged to defend. That is my case, Your Honor.
I mean,
yeah, he's wildin'.
I don't know what the people say, but I'm not a judge. I didn't go to law school, but you've made the case. We can go to trial. I don't know. I'm losing it.
So
I watch some more Law and Order.
Right. So he has allowed, like, he's been so distracted. These contracts are fully here. He's over here cussing in Welsh. And he slides into a fighting stance and he says, "Call them off. If you kill me, you'll never get close to Nicholas. All your efforts will be for naught." And she snaps, "They're not mine!" And they keep getting closer. They close in on a 10-foot distance easily. They yip and snarl and chatter as they stalk towards them both. And he's still saying, "Call them off." And she still says, "I didn't do this." And he just keeps, they go back and forth like this, and they're about to die. And finally, he decides that he's gonna like murmur some aether into like these glowing spinning balls in his palms and then form staffs from them, and they become their own like weaponry, right? But instead of retreating, this foxes are eager, and when Bree's like, "What are they doing?" Cell does not answer her. He's looking at them too, but all of a sudden they make a sound and they just like absorb all the ether that Cell just constructed. And Cell's like, "What?" And he doesn't actually say that, but he reacts like, "Oh crap." So he gasps, and then he tries to keep them from taking the full weapons, but they go anyway. And then he whenever he's trying to pull that magic from going to them, the foxes flicker, but instead of them actually changing into to not be receiving the magic, they actually turn his magic the same color as them. And then they take his magic again when he tries to cast it again. And so Bree is just like, "Stop." They're gonna keep using it so they become corporeal, because each time they absorb some of his magic, they get stronger looking.
That's honestly insane. How do you even fight
eating
this?
His magic.
They're eating his magic.
I do love that, like what you're saying, like he's spending all this time fighting her, being like, "Call them off." But if you go back to his original, "I'm a prove that you're a demon" plan, it was reveal yourself or kill me. So
right.
And he's like, "She's really about to kill me." And it's like, okay, she's about to kill both of y'all, because she don't what's she gonna do?
She's like, "I am not a freaking
great, like, you're not actually about this life, though." Like, you just
No.
You know what you said you wanted.
So
Crazy.
yeah. So what? He's now figured out that his magic will be futile, so he again can't use his main weaponry. So he growls at the creatures with his canines bared, and suddenly the world is trembling around Bree, and she can see like the constructs in a different way now. She sees them. Their sight, smell, sound is suddenly crisper and brighter. Their skin is in high definition. She can see things more clearly. And
she's seeing the health boxes in HD. I hate that
yeah.
for her.
Yeah, no.
But I'm wondering too, is she seeing them more clearly because they've ingested?
Oh no. So her magic's coming.
Okay, because she's about to.
But it's.
I remember her saying like she could always like smell him.
Yeah. What's worse?
But I know that her magic's coming, but I couldn't figure out if it was like they ingested his magic, and so now she's more in tune to them, and that like speeds up her magic. I couldn't figure out like what.
Yeah, no, I think it's just because she was already like it was already coming, and then the Hell Foxes came. So now I think her magic is just like, oh, it's.
Well, she knows it's full alert. Just like she just need to have a backup. Like Cell would like be the the plan. Like he's gonna take him out, but like her magic's like, so we don't have anything in between us and the foxes. We have to do something. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like it's interesting too because not only has her sense of smell increased so much with them, it's increased so much that she can taste their sour, rotten aether bodies at the back of her throat, and that's just
thank you.
That is just keep that.
I mean, we already knew I wasn't here. I've been gone. I was gone day one. I was gone at the quarry. I went home, packed up my stuff. But tasting demon?
No, thank you.
No.
And Cell is like, "What the F is that?" And his voice breaks her focus, and that's when she notices that she's taken 2 steps toward the fox without even realizing, and her hands are outstretched at her sides with her bright crimson flames streaming from her fingertips. She screams with a short scream and then whimpers, and she tries to shake her hand to toss the flames away, and she just like, I don't. And the foxes don't wait for her to explain. The one on the far left is already moving, dashing for her at a breakneck speed. She dodges at the last minute, and it collides into the wall, and while it recovers, another screeches and braces for a leap. But that's whenever strong arms grab her around the waist and pull both her feet off the ground. And she feels everything flying by her in a blur of colors. And then she's released and the world goes hazy and dark. She comes to and she hears chanting in Welsh again. She sees the ground beneath her face become the focus. And then her stomach feels like they're somewhere up near her lungs. Her fingers are curled in the dirt and her mage flame is gone. She moans, and then she rises to her knees, and then she figures she hasn't been out for longer than a minute. Cell says, or grumbles, "You're welcome," before returning to his Welsh chant. He stands beside her, his hands and fingers contorting in the air over the massive, which gives me Doctor Strange, over the massive roots of an oak tree. She looks up to find that they're on the northmost quad of the campus, which is about a 10-minute walk from the graveyard. And he continues to chant as they hear the Hellfox scream in the night air. "Oh God," she uses the tree to stand. "They're coming. I'm aware," Soul says. Another scream louder this time. "They're getting closer. I have ears. Well, we've got to run." And she starts to take a halting step, but the world is adjusting itself and she's not ready to go. "No," he says, "we've got to hide." And then there's a rush of air and double doors appear up over the tree roots. Cell yanks his hand backward and one of the doors open and reveals a dark bottomless pit below. "Get in." "I'm not going down there." And without a word, he wraps an arm around her middle and lifts her up, tossing her down into the gloom. She lands butt first, pain shooting up her spine, and she figures that it was about 6 or 7 feet, so not bottomless. And he drops down beside her and lands like a cat, solid in light. He yanks down again, and the dorm slams shut, plunging them into darkness.
I just just want to say, if he fixed his lips to say "you're welcome," to me,
he could have fixed his lips to say, "Oh, we're about to hop down
smacked
here."
him.
Like
I've smacked him.
He
You're welcome. Like, no, bitch.
You could at least been like, be ready, like be ready to jump, like give me a warning or something. Like, why are you over here wasting breath on this? Like, no.
You're welcome. You put us in this position. You messing around with the hellhound, and now the hell foxes came and like we would have. I mean, Thel should have been fought upon
a long time ago.
Long time ago. Someone really needed to put him in his place. But you're welcome.
Yeah, I feel like also how like bad. I mean, obviously we know that like Cell at this point is aware that Bree is no longer a demon, although she does have something else going on. So like, how much like lack of luck does Bree have to reveal the first time she reveals this like ether mage flame or whatever? It's in front of Selwyn of all people. I really hate that for her.
I'm glad he was just as taken aback as he was about the hellhounds. He was like,
right.
Or about the
but it's also like I think he was pretty clear. He was like, oh, okay, clearly she's not a demon. I was wrong. And then you turn back around and you're like, but she's something because
she's something. I might have been wrong about the particulars.
Like, but what's this?
Something is still up. That there's something else going on with this child.
Okay, let's do MVP.
So I made Bree my MVP. I think that she handled all of this really well, or as well as you can when you find out that the person who's supposed to protect your boo thing is also a demon, a Crossroads child, and then find out that Crossroads child is trying to kill you, and then you reveal your biggest secret in front of that Crossroads child. I think that she handled all of that really well. I do need her to step up her fighting game because the demons are obviously not going away, and now we're getting demons that can eat ether and get stronger and more corporal. So, but that's for another time. That's for later on. So I just think that she in each of these 3 chapters, I think she really like handled herself well and rolled with what was thrown at her, and there was a lot thrown at her.
Yeah, agreed. Also, we kind of skipped over the like actual scavenger hunt part of it, or like kind of zoomed through it. But even all of that, like riddles have never really been my bag. So anytime anyone can like solve riddles, I'm like, you know what? You smart. You very smart. So yeah, that too. And like and doing it with like Cell hovering over her and being like menacing and like unsettling. Yeah. Like shout out to her.
She did give Nick the Doctor Who because I'm clever.
She did. She did.
I feel like her riddle solving, like I feel like people who can solve riddles are that very good line between being like very on top of things and not too literal. I think sometimes I take things too literal to get I get some riddles, but I don't get a lot of them until it just takes me a minute. But like if you're not that literal, I think you like it's easier. You're better able to place riddles. It's like a thing I've noticed. I enjoyed Bree's performance, but I also wanted to give shout out to the ancestors because they came through for her when she needed to, when it comes to like a place of like inspiration and of like giving her the confidence that she needed in the moment to be like, I'm not going to take this. I've already been through a racism today, and then a second one at the hands of this man who had me over here running from hounds, a la my ancestors. I'm about to actually put him in his place, and I'm going to need the strength of the ancestors to help me get there. And I just think that, like, although the journey they took her through was traumatic, I guess they gave her exactly what she needed to gain energy from those interactions, and I appreciate that was something that she was able to pull from.
Nice.
Tight. And then benched.
I think did we do a trifecta here?
Unanimous.
We did. It's Sal. It's
It's
been a long time coming. I don't think he's gotten benched that much.
He's always like skirted the line to me where I'm like, okay,
yeah,
but I understand
somebody else always.
There's always been one person, and then
someone's gone
or
harder.
Or we've had episodes where he's only been like one chapter, and then other 2 chapters is someone else, and then it's like well, the odds favor the other person over him.
But this one, he's in all 3, and in every single one, he was tripping.
Yeah, it's to me, it's always been like, okay, but if he is correct, like the thought process makes sense to me. As crazy as it is, if I think that you're a demon and you're a threat to my king, then like, yeah, I do what I gotta do, right? But like this one, it's basically like what Porshèa said, like the test or what trap that he sets for her is only winnable. It's not even. It's just like, it's, what? It was there was never a moment of like, well, what if I'm wrong? Until the freaking foxes start eating his magic and he has to
even
think on the fly. And
then he's like, oh shit.
You're welcome. That's what settled it for me. Like, you don't get to be sassy with me, sir.
I just need Selwyn to come to grips with the fact that he's attracted to her, and that has nothing to do with her having any demon in her. And that the fact that so for me, one of the big parts of benching Sel is that it's partially the Order's brainwashing of him, but I feel like he knows enough to not fall under that, but it's the cult thing, so I give him some allowance for it. But the way that he treats her is very like, how dare you, woman, enthrall me against my will. You have the power in this situation, and I dislike that. You should not have the power. And if you have the power, then prove yourself. Come on and show yourself. Yeah, you're just a freaking sexy woman taking all my attention and making me go ragey. And I hate those kind of stories. Like they just bother me so bad. The sexism is so rife. I can't keep it. And that's so basic of him. And so I'm just like, so get it together. I can't. And then I said this before, I'm going to be the broken record again. I also blame the regents for letting this teenage boy without his prefrontal cortex all the way developed be the sole person on this campus, while he's also the only person responsible for guarding your potential author person, to be the only person on campus who's in charge of security for the freaking gates. Like, how irresponsible are you? It's irresponsible for him to let a girl distract him, but it's even more responsible for you, the adults in the situation, to have him be the only person on campus doing that job.
It's really wild, honestly, because like you see in Bloodmark, like we meet more Merlins, and it's like y'all only got one Merlin.
Y'all couldn't have had one extra one.
Y'all only got
a whole army of Merlins.
We had a whole army of Merlins, and you got one in charge, and he's a teenager. Like,
right? Like, what?
Because that's my thing too. It's like, yes, okay, it's on him for letting a girl distract him, but if ever there was a time in your life in which a girl or someone you're attracted to will distract you, it is when you are a teen.
Especially when you're unsupervised on campus. I'm right. Sorry.
And y'all when that girl, and when messing with that girl, or being distracted by that girl, not only messes with you, but messes with the boy that you also, like, you know, because he can then fool himself and be like, I am not distracted by Bree, but Nick is distracted by Bree, so I'm doing my duty to get eaten. No, sir. No. But he's 19.
And where 18. Are the adults in that situation?
18.
Why are the adults not there to be a backup in the situation?
You're not thinking with the right brain, sir.
He simply does not have the range. It's not there yet. So why would I'm still like, so that's why I have an ongoing beef specifically around the security of what's supposed to be the most like needed of guarding campus within the order.
Yeah, and then that just does raise some questions too about like how much power Nick's dad does have, because all of this really does play into his plans, or how much sway he has, I guess, because like, yeah, nobody was like, I feel like we should call in some reinforcement.
Right.
Well, thank you all for listening. Join us next week when we discuss chapters 30 into 32.
Wizard Team is part of the Black Nerds Create Collective. If you want to keep up with our content, you can check out our website at blacknerdscreate.com. Follow us on Instagram and Tumblr at Wizard Team Pod and at Black Nerds Create. Stream and purchase NSYNC's Better Place. Unlike
We're not sponsored
the other folk on this podcast.
Not getting paid for that.
Thank you. And we'll see you next week. I'm getting something for it, okay? I'm getting the chance to go see my boys.
All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.